2,500 mile review of the 2022 Toyota Tacoma TRD Sport. Let's go somewhere nice and bright and check it out. What's going on, everyone? So like I said at the intro here, we're doing an updated review at 2,500 miles and about 4 months of use on our project here. This is the 2022 Toyota Tacoma TRD Sport 4x4 4-door long bed in the Lunar Rock. This one also has the premium package with the leather and moonroof as well as the navigation equipment. As you can see, we do have some modifications that are not factory on here, which we'll go over in a bit and discuss. But first, we're going to just talk about the Toyota itself. So I'm around 2,550 miles exactly right now. We're currently on a little road trip, so you'll have to excuse the fact that the truck is kind of dirty. Some real-time use as far as gas mileage. A lot of people worry about the gas mileage on these, and I can tell you I've been averaging from 12 to 19.3. That's my overall average since I've had this, between city driving, backed up traffic, trails, and highway use. However, you can see it is slightly modified, so that will impact your fuel mileage. One thing about it is the wheels are about the same weight as factory, even though they are plus size, because these aftermarket rims are so much lighter. The biggest damper on this for mileage is going to be the roof rack due to air drag. With that being said, this truck drives nice. It is definitely different than the second generation with the 4.0 V6 and 5-speed automatic transmission, as this one is a 3.5 liter V6 with a 6-speed automatic transmission. Another common concern I hear people talk about is gear hunting. This thing does shift a lot, I'll admit. However, it does seem like relatively smooth transitions of shifts, and it doesn't feel too rough or violent or like it's slipping or anything. A lot of modern vehicles, I know a lot of the new F-Series with the EcoBoost, they'll shift a lot also. The idea is to try and find maximum fuel economy for however you're driving. That's something that hasn't bothered me. Hopefully it doesn't bother anyone else, and no one is actually having true mechanical issues with this. Like I said though, it's been good for us. The paint, love it. The Lunar Rock in the sun definitely looks like the gray tone Lunar Rock as advertised, but certain lighting at nighttime, it does have a green undertone, which looks pretty cool in my opinion. Definitely a little bit more versatile color than the cement. However, cement is one of my favorite colors, which has sadly been discontinued. Some of the body features, I have noticed a few like body lines from factory aren't perfectly lined up. I've been hearing that as a complaint from people as well. Apparently, some people are saying and speculating that there's differences between the US plant down in Texas as well as the Mexican plant. This truck was made in Baja, Mexico. I'm still happy with it. I really don't have that serious issues. The hood line is my main issue. The tail lights, the headlights, love them. They're nice and clear, LED, they're bright. They don't seem to draw hard on energy compared to old halogen or incandescents. Fog lights from factory are relatively well. They are not upgraded. Nice lighting for that. So definitely no complaints at all with the lighting. The drive and suspension is nice and smooth. I didn't have the factory on very long, but it was nice and smooth from factory. We currently have the iBox Stage 1 on here. It's a very nice like light setup, I'll call it, instead of using just spacers or something for a more friendly kit that's not too expensive or too hardcore off-road. This one does have new coilovers and shocks, set up at 2 inches in the front and 1 inch in the rear. In the rear, we did a block instead of an added leaf, as I am not hauling much weight with this. Wanted to maintain a little bit more flexibility for that smooth ride. Braking, this truck seems to brake nicer than my second gen. My second gen I have had for about 11 years now. I know it's starting to wear out, but I do keep up on all the maintenance and servicing. This one, I think in my last video I stated it kind of drives more like a car than a truck. That may make sense to some, and it may sound absolutely ridiculous to others. But that's the easiest way I can describe it. However, it does still feel rugged enough to like legitimately be called a truck as it is. Obviously, if you want to modify, just like a Jeep, the Tacomas are historically known to have all kinds of modifications available. Pretty much as far as you can imagine, you can build it. This one I'm kind of going up for more family friendly. That's why I went light on the lift. That's why I have side steps that drop down instead of sliders. We all know for hard trail riding, you always want sliders to protect your rockers, your paint, your doors. Again, this is more of a family vehicle that's set up to be able to be capable for a little bit of fun. So we're going to go ahead and go around now, start talking about the interior as well as a little bit more of the features on this thing. All right, so as previously stated, this one does have the premium package, so it includes Toyota's leather. So far, it's been holding up good for me. I will say it is a little bit thinner feeling leather than some vehicles. I have also heard complaints that after time, it starts to crack and break down. So we'll see how that goes. But for now, I will say it's a very comfortable surface. It's not as slippery as some leather, which is nice. It cleans easy, wipes down easy. So far, super happy with it. The heated seats work great. The air conditioner gets nice and cold once everything gets circulating, but I will say it doesn't seem to blow quite as hard as the second gens, but more than adequate still. Just trying to give a little comparison to people who are hunting between a used second generation or third generation Tacoma. We have the 4 vents up top for the dash, the delivery to the feet for the passenger driver. However, there is nothing for the rear cab for people in the back. You turn on the feet floorboards on high, they do circulate under the seats relatively well, is what my passengers have told me. And obviously the truck itself will cool down well after a while. I do have slightly tinted windows up front. It's not very dark, but it is enough to help a little bit with that UV heat that comes through. Hopefully that also helps prevent deterioration of the interior after years of use. I am very notorious for holding on to vehicles. It has the JBL entertainment system, premium audio, with the Apple CarPlay, which seems to work relatively well. It interfaces nicely. I enjoy that. Some of the mods you can see in here is I do have the dash top multi-mount from the Taco Garage up there. Really nice for holding up your phone and equipment for navigation. Plugs directly in. It's nice and high to where you don't really have to look away from where you're driving to see your maps and stuff. However, it doesn't interfere with your visibility. Even when the phone is fully mounted in there, sitting in the seat, it doesn't go higher than the view of the hood while you're sitting from your picture. So you're actually not obstructing your view, which is nice as well. And I think it is a relatively clean look for an aftermarket mount. And you can also notice behind the shifter, there's a little cubby. Some people say works good for like square tea bottles and like shaker protein bottles. But I found it to be inconvenient. And the one thing about this, there is no slot or tray or coin holder around the steering wheel on the driver's side. So I put the little mount in there to have a little coin holder. Worth it in my opinion. I love it. Just a very simple little modification. And then as you can see, the handbrake is set because we're on a little bit of an angle. That is another thing about the third generations compared to the second. Second generations have a push style parking brake on the floor. This one has a handbrake like a car. Works great, works fine. I have tested it just to make sure it works out. The glove box space isn't bad. However, it doesn't really have a downward angle. It's a straight slot. So every time you open it, your stuff is kind of prone to shifting out. Just keep that in mind. The center console though is definitely nice and spacious on the inside, relatively deep. You can buy aftermarket slots and dividers for that, which is nice as well. And there is also USB ports on the inside. So you can run cables in there if you have anything you want to store inside, such as a phone, a GoPro camera, a Fitbit, anything you might have that you don't need out. You can put it in there while charging. And then there's also a slot under the lid to run a cord out through, so you don't have a cord mashed if you want to run it through to charge anywhere else. It also has the non-contact charging down there in the cubby. I have used that on some people's phones to test out, and it does work. However, your phone will get hot relatively quick. However, I don't use this feature because of the type of case I have on my iPhone. It just can't get through the case, which is very common with pretty much all touchless chargers as far as I understand. So we'll just go around here a little bit, peek at some more of the interior. We'll see the back. Like I said, I'm on an actual road trip right now, so there is some stuff in here, and this truck is a little dirty. I've had a few adults in the back as well as myself, but mainly my 8-year-old, and no one's complained about space so far. But one thing to keep in mind, if you're a taller person, the headroof space up top, if you're more than probably 6 feet or 6'1" and you're sitting upright, you are going to be getting really close to that ceiling, especially with the sunroof model, because of the indent and the headliner to allow for the sunroof to come back. So that is something else to keep in mind. All right. Now we're just going to do a little walk around the exterior to show the exterior as well as talk about some of the modifications we have on here. So to start, like I said, we have the IBOC Stage 1 2-inch suspension lift up front with the 1-inch block in the rear with new shocks all the way around. Still on factory control arms. We have not relocated the sway bar or drop differentials. Have no issues with any kind of rubbing or clearance. We are running the FN Wheels Koenig 6-shooters, 17 by 8, 0mm offset, with the 265 7017 Falcon Wild Peaks AT3Ws. I love these tires. There's well over 2,000 miles on the tires itself at this point. We had them on the factory wheels at first, which, to note, they will fit with the factory sport wheels, no spacers or rubbing, even when the suspension is factory. Loving these tires. They for an all-terrain, they are obviously not as aggressive as the main competitor out there, which is probably the BF Goodrich ATKO2s. However, for all use, highway driving, dirt, sand, I'm loving these tires. No experience in the snow or ice. However, we'll have an update in the future whenever we get there. We got the black chrome factory Toyota accessory for the exhaust tip that was added on. The factory bed liner. And if you notice all the spots, beware seagulls. One thing nice, the tailgate does lower softly. It has the built-in hydraulics somewhere to where it won't slam down. We have the factory bed lights rather. That is a simple install upgrade from Toyota, plug and play, and it works with your cab light, as well as the bed mat from Toyota. The side steps that I mentioned earlier are made by Barricade HD. These ones are picked up from extremeterrain.com. Simple bolt in. We have the Prinsu roof rack with a few roto packs up top. We have the 2-gallon water pack and a 2-gallon fuel pack with crossbars under there. These are full and they have been on this whole road trip. No leaking, no issues with vibrating or rattling. And over there we have a Cali Rays LED MOLLE panel. It's going to be a future home for some shovels, as well as a fire extinguisher. And then I have room, I'm going to put a small case for recovery equipment. This one does not have the front windshield. It's cut out for a light bar. I'm running ditch lights as well as a small light bar up front, which is enough for me. With the ditch lights, we're running the rough country pods on the low profile brackets. Those are working nice. We have the body armor 4x4 bumper. I do have a front plate, unfortunately, for this state. The winch is currently not in. And then there is the 20-inch rough country LED light bar inside of there. Love that light bar. Please excuse the ambient noise here. It is windy out here by the beach area. And that's an updated review on the 2022 Toyota Tacoma TRD Sport. Please feel free to ask any questions, concerns, or anything I may or may not have addressed. A like and subscribe would be helpful. I appreciate all my returning viewers and new viewers as well. And as always, feel free to comment with any kind of things you have for input. Thanks for tuning in to Gru's Garage. Have a good day.